As always, we're going to just get comfortable. Going to take a few deep breaths. Okay, so feet flat on the floor if you can, or at least legs not crossed. And then we're just going to breathe in and out, and in and out. Okay, so we're going to start, and as always I'm going to start with my pencil. I've got my 3.5 by 3.5 inch tile here, and I'm going to do 4 dots, 1 on each corner, and as always I'm going to do mine a lot darker than what yours will be, because I want you to be able to see. So you can just do yours nice and light, and we always begin each Zentangle with this tile, and we're going to do our border. So we're just going to join the dots. Okay, and it doesn't matter if your line isn't straight. I'm going to turn the tile and join that one, and I'm going to turn the tile. And it can be curvy, I could even do a wiggly border to meet up. That's absolutely fine as well. It's your border, straight or curvy, but all we're doing is creating a square. So now we're going to do our string. And our string is basically a line or lines that we're going to draw inside our border. And it separates our tile into sections. And today I'm going to do some grid patterns with you, and also go over some things that we've already done. So I'm just going to have a string that comes down the center, so I'll probably do a curvy string down the center like that, which is kind of matching up with my border. And then I'm going to do another string to break my tile up into 4. Okay. So that's what mine looks like. There isn't any up and down in Zentangle, so you can look at your tile in any direction. Okay, so we don't get hung up on this is the top, this is the bottom. We'll do our tangle and see where we end up. I'm going to start with the first tangle, and as I say, it's going to be a grid. So on half of my tile, I'm going to actually draw a grid pattern in. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to come up like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to break that grid up by coming across, and as again I say, you can do yours lighter. I'm doing mine just this heavy so that you can see. Okay, and I'm just stopping at my string. In this sort of area here, I'm going to come in, and as I say, I'm going to try some coloured pens today just to be a bit different. So I'm going to start with a pattern that's called Bales. Okay, and it looks like this when it's kind of done. And just show you, it's Bales. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that up there. And it's a bit similar to some of the grid patterns that we've done in the past. We're going to start by just doing a little, oops, I should really have gone to the edge there, but so like a little sort of upside down C, or a little sort of curtain frill there. Just join it like that. And I'm going to come down a little wavy line, just joining my grids here. Okay, and I'm just going to continue that down And I'm going to actually stop on this line here. So I'm going to just draw a solid line across there because that's where I'm going to do my bales. So then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a matching little C shape just to meet up with those. And on this one it'll just be the top one. And I know I talk about this every week, but we never go over the top of a tangle. And when I've come to my string here, I've just stopped. That would obviously carry on, but because I've met the string, I've stopped. So then I'm going to draw a line in the middle of each of my little bubbles here that I've created. My little bale starts here, basically. And I'll just come across the top there and stop where it meets. Okay, and then I'm going to just turn my tile around and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to come and do a little C shape. Okay, like that. And then I'll come back and I'll do the top half. And these kind of create like a lovely sort of floral pattern. I know that they kind of say that it's not representation. It's not a representation of anything, but sometimes you can just see in the pattern different things. So I would imagine that my grid, actually I probably should have a bit of a grid coming down here. I would imagine that there would be a grid carrying on here. So, and there would be there, but I'm not drawing it in. So I would probably actually have another little starting of but because I've reached my string, I'm not going to go beyond that, and I'm stopping again here because it'll be under my string and you wouldn't see it. So now I'm going to start doing an aura. So I'm just going to come down and add another, and I'll stop as soon as I reach that string. So I'm just going to aura each of those. And then I'll turn it round and I will do exactly the same thing again. I'm just going to aura my lines. Okay, and then I'll turn it and I will aura these lines. Oops, jumped the gun there, didn't I? And then I'm going to go around and aura these lines. And basically you're just going to go along and aura the lines on all of the sides, and I would imagine you'll be able to see some popping down through there as well. And you just keep auraing the lines until you've got just a very small space in the middle. And you can stop whenever you are ready and you don't want to aura anymore, and that will be the right place. And they're all going to look different. Each one will be exactly how it is supposed to be. I'll just stop that one there. Let's go into this. I'm just doing the little squares there. Stop on that one. Stop on that one. And I know I say it every week, but just remember to breathe. Because when we get into concentrating, we tend to just forget that we should be breathing. So just breathe normally when you're doing your tangling. I'm going to just reaffirm this border here with the pen. But that's kind of what you end up with. Something similar, obviously not exactly the same, but in our other grid, we're going to do a different pattern. In this section, we're going to do something that is a little bit similar to when we did Crescent Moon, but it's just a slightly different idea. And I'll start, and you can decide where you want to start your pattern. But I'm going to just start in the corner here. So I've got the tile in a diagonal shape, because what we're kind of going to do is a little arc on our tile. Okay, and we're just going to colour that in. So it's like a quarter of a moon, really. Okay, so just like that. And I'm going to go along and going to do the same thing on all of the corners on this bit. Just make this little, it's actually like a little Trivia Pursuit pie. So we're just going to do this little sunrise really, and colour it in. Okay, and I'm going to go on all of my diagonal corners and do the same thing. This will be forever known as Trivial Pursuit wedges. Okay, and this is actually, we're going to build on this pattern, and you'll see why I say it's a bit similar to Crescent Moon, but it does have its own name. I'll show you in a second. So just carry on doing that. And there's no race, so you will go at your own pace, and that's absolutely fine. So that's a start, and then we're going to do an aura, and an aura is basically just a little shadow. So we're just going to shadow with a line around each of these. Okay, and then I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to do another aura. And just so you know, this one's called Beelight. So I'm going to come in and do an aura, and then I'm going to on the last aura, we're going to do something called a sparkle. So a sparkle is when you start to do an aura, so you're going to come up, and then you stop, and then you do the finish line, so it's like you've created a little sparkle on your arc. Okay, so you come up, stop, and then leave a space, and then continue with your aura. So I'm going to come up, stop, and then go ahead. So you've got this little gap, and it creates a sparkle. Okay, so I'm just going to do that on all of my last auras. Like that. Okay. And I'm just going to affirm that line by taking it out to the end. So now we've got Bales and Beelight on our tile. And on this other side, I'm going to do some Pokeroot. Pokeroot is basically 2 lines, a smiley face, and then a little circle, so it kind of looks like a cherry. Okay, so it's 2 lines, and I can have it coming out here, and yes, I've gone over my border, and that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to come round, and it's going to stop. And we always go underneath. We never draw over the top, so we stop whenever we hit something. Because in Zentangle, it always just goes under. Okay, so I've started mine there, and I'm just going to have that working down. And they can be big, they can be small, so I can have a little tiny one up here. Like that, in amongst all these bigger ones, and that's absolutely fine. But just remember to join them up just by going underneath. So come here, go around. They can have little tiny stalks, big stalks. But as you see, I'm never drawing over the top of any of them. So this is, as I say, it's the same as what we did last week with our poke leaf, but instead of doing a sort of leaf shape, like the little heart, we're doing more of a sort of orb shape. So we're just going to come down, smiley face, and then our circle coming around. And it goes behind, it never goes through the stalk, it's always going behind. So I'm going to come down. And just concentrate on any of those lines that you're just doing at this time. Just that line now that you're drawing, that is all that you are thinking about. And just remember, you can twist your tile so that it's comfortable for you. And these little pokeroots grow every which way. And it's absolutely fine to go over your border. And when you meet up with your other pattern, your Pokeroot will just go underneath. Okay. And what we're going to do now is we're going to colour in the spaces in between. So we're just going to come in and start colouring in that white space in between your Pokeroots. So all those little white spaces between each of them. You can just colour them in. Remembering to breathe just normally. And you can come along the top and just put in that border just to meet up there, and where there's a Pokeroot, the border goes underneath. And then you can just colour in the space. Turn in your tile so it's comfortable for you. And you can just stop and have a look, just for a minute, and just gaps that you've missed. That you need to just fill in. And you can just draw that border in that you drew on that side. Most of mine's actually covered up by my Pokeroot. And the last pattern that we're going to draw is just something a little bit different. It's called Mist. And what we're going to do is we're going to start from any of your borders you can choose. You can have it coming this way, you can have it coming that way, you can have it coming down from the Pokeroot. Actually, I think I might do that, that's it. Yeah, I'm going to have it coming down. So what you do is you just do a wiggly line and then stop, and then you're going to do 3 dots. Okay, and then you're going to do another wiggly line. It might be smaller this time. You're going to stop, and then you might do another 3 dots, or you might do more. And then I'm going to have a wiggly line that's going to come way down, and then I'm going to have my dots coming off there. And try and keep them reasonably close together. And then do your dots. They can be as short or as long. I could have one that comes right down, just with a few dots off the end of it. I actually think there should be one probably about here coming down, but it's gone behind my border. And you can change the number of dots that you've got coming from your mist. But try to be free when you're drawing it, not thinking about it too much. So it's just a natural line that's coming down. And you can just stop whenever you feel it's where it's going to stop. And when you meet up with your other string, again, you might have it going behind. And that is called Msst, and it's spelled M-S-S-T, Msst. So now I'm going to just reaffirm my border here. So I'm going to come along, follow that curve that I've drawn. And I can do the same on the other side, just come along. Just drawing in my border. Okay. And I can either decide to bring my mist coming down through the Beelight here, or I could actually have another grid coming through, which would be coming down from here, which would come out about there. And I could just have the start of some more of those Beelights. Right up to the edge there. Just like that. So the next part of doing a Zentangle tile is shading, and this is something that you don't have to do, but I use a soft leaded pencil. It's a 1B pencil. So I'm just going to come in now, and I'm going to start with my mist, and with the mist I'm just going to very lightly, just where all of the sort of strings start, with that mist I'm going to just do some shading. And as I say, I don't know what I've done with my turtle on, so I'm going to just use a cotton bud this week to blend that out. And just bring it down. Okay, just like that, so that there's more of a depth. Shading in Zentangle, basically you're just adding shades of grey with your pencil, and it's to bring contrast and dimension. It's not about which way the light is shining, it's all about just adding dimension. Because when you first do your tile, it's just a two-dimensional, but when you shade, it will make it three-dimensional, or at least give the appearance. So with my little Pokeroots, I'm going to just come in and just add a little bit of graphite pencil just to one side of each of them. So just rubbing over with the pencil, just a tiny bit of lead, just spotting down. And then I'll come through with the cotton bud and blend that out. So now I'm going to come in with my cotton bud and just smooth that. We don't have a rubber or an eraser in Zentangle, because basically our drawing is what it is. so we don't really do any rubbing out, and there's no judgment. Your drawing basically is what it was supposed to be. This is your own piece of artwork. Okay, so I've gone in and added shade to all of those little Pokeroot. And now with my bales, I'll probably actually just add shade around each side. So probably in the middle, actually, yeah, that middle bit. And kind of try and make the flower sort of shape that it's created maybe pop out a little bit. See what we can do. So just going around, maybe just on one side, and then softening that and see what that looks like. You don't have to shade at all. Shades, it's just a personal thing. So if you don't add shade, that's absolutely fine too. Yeah, I think that kind of makes it pop. Just by adding a little bit on that one side. So you kind of can see now that these sort of bits that have that more sort of bulbous floral shape are actually maybe jumping a bit more off the page just by adding that pencil. And then with our Beelights, I think I'm just going to dim down the brighter white just very, very lightly. I'm not even adding graphite, I'm just using what's on the cotton bud. And I just want the kind of rainbow bit to sort of pop, so I'm just going to soften the white to kind of help that pop out a bit more. Add a little bit just in there. Okay, and that is the shading finished, and you can just turn it around and look at it and see what it looks like from the different directions. And now this is basically your piece of art that you've made, so what we're going to do is we're going to sign it. So we put our initials on the front, so you can find a little space. So I think maybe for me it's just going to be down here in the middle of my midst. I'm just going to put my initials, PB, just like there in the corner. You could put one maybe in a little Pokeroot, or you could have it just coming off the border. And then on the back, I'm going to put my name. And today's date, which is the 18th. Oh dear, there's going to be hailstones now coming, and that's going to be very loud on the video. I do apologise. So it's the 18th. And then You can basically add any comments about what we've done. So you might want to put what tangles we did today. So we did Beelight, we did Bales, we did Pokeroot, and we did Msst. Okay. Right. And now we're going to just hold it at arm's length, and you can spin it round and look at it from each of the different directions, and just take a minute to appreciate that this is something that you've created today. This is your artwork. So really look at it, and yeah, this is your own little piece of work that you've done.